Okay, welcome everybody to the first Axelar Community Advisors call. My name's Galen. I'm a content lead at Axelar, and I'm joined by our trio of community advisors in the Axelar community. I'm just going to call out your names one by one, and I guess we'll go in loose alphabetical order here. That means 0x Postman. You're first. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. It's Postman here. I'm a community advisor to Axelar. I've been researching cross-chain since late 2020 and written some articles, pieces on cross-chain models, security, philosophy of the interchain and the infrastructure layer, abstracting that away into the background, and yeah, working on a bunch of crypto projects. Currently building something in the Axelar ecosystem.
Awesome. Welcome. Roger, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, how's it going? Just a little bit about myself. I kind of got reintroduced to crypto in 2020, and I basically caught the start of DeFi summer and sort of at the start of 2021 started tweeting about kind of DeFi on Avalanche specifically, and yield farming opportunities in Alpha. And so basically, that's where a lot of my sort of focus has been on the Avalanche ecosystem. I've been an advisor investor for a lot of foundational projects like Platypus, Avalanche, Yield Yak, staying active in space despite the bear market. But basically, I started thinking about, or just as practically speaking, try to understand a little bit more about cross-chain and the opportunity there, because just as a user and trying to find opportunities and be nimble across chains. And so that's what led me to Axelar. And so I'm really excited to be part of the team and all the exciting things that are going on with the ecosystem.
Awesome. Great to have some Avalanche representation here. Thyborg, last but not least, go ahead.
Yes, so I'm Thyborg. I have a background in economics. I after a couple of years, I also co-founded a software company that I sold in 2021, and so that's when I got into crypto. That's when I got time, I got money. I wanted to invest. That was actually the right time to get into crypto last year. And I started, going basically ecosystem by ecosystem, like seeing where I felt like there was the most potential. And for me, that was pretty clear that it was Cosmos. I was super impressed with the fact that these guys had basically anticipated the whole multi-chain world like 5 years before anyone even thought about it. Even Vitalik and any of these OGs didn't even think about cross-chain before Cosmos actually started working on it. And so I started being active on Twitter as well. And through that, I got in touch with a bunch of projects. Axelar was one of them. And another one was the Cosmos Hub, and specifically Informal System, who is the biggest Cosmos Hub developer. We have a team of 60 people working on tournaments and IBC and the Cosmos Hub core software, which is called Gaia. And we do also a bunch of other cool stuff in formal verification. And so I felt, that was a team that's a very technical team that I could help, being a bit more business focused. And so I joined Informal in August this year. And so I've been at Informal for about 5 months. And yeah, I'm basically in charge of the business strategy at Informal.
Awesome. Yeah, what a great time to kind of get involved in Cosmos. It's you're absolutely right. Like the kind of the vision there was very early, and I think it's as we're all talking about cross-chain here, we're kind of thinking about different aspects of that, and I think so much of what we are, of the world we're in, comes from a kind of a one chain mindset or a single ecosystem mindset, and definitely folks at Cosmos were some of the first to plant the seeds on thinking differently on that. A couple quick notes on kind of format and what we're doing here. We are streaming right now on YouTube and on the Twitter, the Axelar Twitter account, twitter.com/AxelarCore. And I think we should be also streaming in the Discord events channel. That's something we sort of hook up on the back end, but want to make sure that this is available and visible to folks in our Discord community. If you want to join us there, it's at discord.gg/Axelar, discord.golf/AXELAR. Yeah, and we're going to get into some just updates on what's been going on in the Axelar ecosystem. We're going to go around and discuss some of what we each think is most exciting and interesting, and just talk about kind of future looking ahead, how we can communicate better and educate on these questions of like, okay, what are we talking about when we talk about interoperability? What does it mean to think about an interoperable Web3, and how how we can kind of build toward that future. So, with all of that said, let me get into just a little bit of a recap on what happened in the month of November. We're now almost at mid-December. God. And it was a action-packed month. December shaping up the same way. We integrated a bunch of new chains at Axelar in November. I think we're up to almost 30 now, if not 30 chains integrated. Silo, Arbitrum, Umi, and Agoric all added in the month of November. We added some great new partners on the application layer as well, including QuickSwap, which is the largest DEX on Polygon, which became a new partner earlier this year as well, and have been working with Polygon really closely to develop interoperability for supernets there. So that's been an exciting project, and great to see the Polygon ecosystem kind of getting their heads around this idea of interoperability and cross-chain communication. And new partners in the developer tooling side as well. Biconomy is a really exciting partner that we're working with, so that developers can, really, as we've promised at Axelar, as we've worked toward developing a kind of a seamless experience for users, meaning that cross-chain and interoperability between blockchains is not something that requires, well, okay, I'm going to log into this network and then I'm going to log into that network. I'm going to bridge, etc. I'm going to maintain two addresses. This is a kind of a very 1980s way of looking at Web3. We certainly feel, if you think about what it was like to use the internet in its very early days, it was not dissimilar. We foresee a world in which, for many users, that kind of thing is completely abstracted. Biconomy, we're really excited about working with them on, with some of the software developer tools that they're building, making that possible for, primarily developers to realize that vision and then, ultimately carry that through to the end user. What else? New pools always coming up. We've got IST USDC pool on Crescent. That's pretty cool. That's Interprotocol's new IST stablecoin, which if you're interested in decentralized stables, definitely IST is one to check out. AXL USDC / USDC pool on Arbitrum. That's obviously that liquidity is really important when you're going cross chain. You need to know that there's going to be liquidity on the chain that you land, and some of these pools are providing, always adding the disclaimer that LPing is riskier than staking. So if you're looking at LPing into some of those pools, please DYOR. None of this is financial advice. All that said, that was a pretty fast kind of lightning minute on what we've been up to at Axelar. If you do have questions and comments, anything like that, chime right in, ask them in the chat. You can do that on the best place to do that is on YouTube, youtube.com/c/AxelarCore, and post a comment there in the chat. We're going to open it up for questions right at the end and see if we can get some people in to the discussion here. Of course, this is a community advisor call and AMA. So eager to hear kind of what people are interested in discussing with the group. So that said, let's just go right around the table here. I want to kind of hear from each of our advisors, kind of what each of you is most excited about in the Axelar ecosystem. Could be something that happened in November that we just ran through. Could be something completely different. Why don't we go backwards? And Thyborg, maybe we could start with you. Sort of what's on your mind in terms of things in Axelar Core that are happening recently or ongoing that are really the most exciting and inspiring as we look ahead.
Yeah, I think what I'm most excited about Axelar, and I'd say even like most impressed with, is the speed at which you guys are able to like connect the different, specifically within Cosmos, like the different blockchain within Cosmos, and make yourself like kind of necessary to them. I'm specifically talking about like the partnership with Osmosis, for instance. I think was a major milestone for Axelar. Like gave you guys a ton of credibility in the space. And now, like I think most of the liquidity, at least clearly, like almost like 100% of the liquidity, not 100%. I don't think that's 100%, but a large majority of the liquidity in Osmosis is bridge liquidity is coming from Axelar, and I think that has set the tone for what a lot of other Cosmos chains are doing. I think you just mentioned a couple, and seeing all these partnerships signed up with secrets, with inter protocol. You just mentioned that. Yumi, I think you guys also are bridging liquidity to Yumi. Every chain basically I talk to is almost every time already in touch with Axelar, and I think that business development effort has been like quite impressive.
Curious what you think that means for kind of liquidity across the Cosmos ecosystem. I know is where you're primarily focused, Thiborg. To some extent, AXL USDC has emerged as a bit of a standard, I think, by virtue of that adoption by osmosis within Cosmos. Good, bad? How do you view that kind of, standardization, if you will, across the Cosmos ecosystem in terms of interoperability and liquidity?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, right? Because the more the liquidity is focused on one provider, the more risk there is associated with that provider. I think something that is also, to be noted with the Axelar team is that it's not like they want to, impose like we're going to be the only one. That's something we're probably going to talk in a minute about IBC. Like Axelar wants to be like a strong participant, but it is one participant. It doesn't mean like it's going to rule the liquidity wars in any way, shape, or form. So, for instance, in Cosmos, we have a lot of Axelar USDC since UST obviously kind of disappeared, thankfully, from the ecosystem. But native USDC is coming to Cosmos next year, right? Like we announced this at Cosmoverse, like they're going to be a consumer chain issuing USDC. I think that way, it's going to become a bit more balanced, and people that want to bridge from other ecosystem are going to use Axelar, and then people that are already native to Cosmos are going to use native USDC. And I think we're going to see like a more balanced split between the two. Yeah,
I 100% agree. I mean, I think we might as well jump into this kind of interchain thing right here while we're talking about. We can kind of mix up our topics a little bit. I think at Axelar, we certainly are glad to see the adoption of AXL USDC to provide that utility, but we're just as excited about native USDC coming into Cosmos. Circle's been a great partner. We've been working with them on adding composability to native USDC and applications so that, people can develop those kind of, seamless experiences we were talking about earlier. I think, one thing I guess I want to actually get your thoughts on Thiborg. We've been talking, we often talk about secure cross-chain communication. We've used that word cross-chain a lot. I think everybody understands what we're talking about when we say cross-chain, but I would say it's a little bit limiting. I think, for most people, they think about bridges primarily, and this idea of kind of moving things cross-chain. And what we're really trying to develop is an idea that is like, more universal, right? And more chain agnostic. We're starting to think about using the word interchain in place of cross-chain and really lean into that word, which I, fully acknowledge is a word that has been developed and that has been used widely in the Cosmos ecosystem. Curious to hear your thoughts on that and kind of, is that gonna ruffle feathers? Is that gonna fly? Can we kind of bring that education mission to a wider audience? By adopting the same language, just as much as we're kind of bringing IBC to a wider audience by accelerating that adoption of it.
No, I think that makes sense. At the end of the day, IBC is the Ethereum blockchain protocol, and so the idea is that everyone adopts IBC, and then that becomes the interchain. So as IBC progresses, and Axelar, helps like promote IBC, I think they're going to be more and more like a larger interchain. And then Cosmos is going to be like the Cosmos chain, the one that use the Cosmos SDK, maybe the one that use tournaments. But so I think in my mind, the interchain is just like crypto in general, as more and more blockchain become interoperable between each other. And then on the a small subset of that, or actually hopefully not small, like a big subset of that is actually going to be built on Cosmos tech, and that is the Cosmos SDK and tournaments. So I would be all in favor of using the interchain term.
I think it's really simple for us. It's not that we want people to build applications and then go cross chain. We want them to build in the interchain. We want them to build applications that are natively interchain. We're really excited about working with application layer partners that have that vision. And I think ultimately that's, if you think about like, why are we all watching the FTX hearings today? The advantage that centralized exchanges have had over DeFi historically has always been their ability to handle any token and to just be sort of natively token and chain agnostic. How are we going to get to the point where we can build products in DeFi and in other categories of the decentralized internet that are better than anything on the centralized internet? That's that maybe seems like a high bar today, but actually, I think given the improvements in infrastructure that we're already seeing, it doesn't feel that it really doesn't feel that crazy to us.
It's not that far away. It's not that far away. If you look at within the Cosmos ecosystem, we already have like 2 or 3 order books, like app chain focus on order books, and we have DYDX, and I know you guys also already are talking to DYDX quite a bit.
We've had a lot of great conversations with them.
And so as soon as the fees go down and Cosmos is here to help with that, I think we're going to see more and more adoption of these DEXs app chains.
Awesome. We've been talking a lot of Cosmos here. Let's shift gears a little bit. Roger, what's going on in the Avalanche? Well, what's going on in the Avalanche ecosystem these days? I think, what are you excited about in Axelar? I think, all of it together. I think, curious to hear kind of the Avalanche vision of interoperability. How is that ecosystem developing there? And then kind of what's happening in the Axelar ecosystem that's got you excited these days?
Yeah, no, listen, I think Axelar is going to be a great boon for the Avalanche network. I think, their solution for scalability is their subnets. I think it's a little bit different from Dybor's experience on Cosmos. Even though I spend a lot of time on Avalanche, I am on all the chains, and that's why I think cross chains particularly powerful theme and useful function for users. But on Avalanche, there are subnets that are coming up now, and what I would say is it's not as seamless of an experience as it is for people on Cosmos. Like even with the way Kepler is set up, when I'm dealing with subnets, it's very difficult. It really kind of like you really feel the fragmented liquidity, and that's why I think that's going to be really beneficial for AVAX or Avalanche kind of building out with Axelar as an important partner. So I think instead of like focusing on one particular project I'm really excited about on Axelar, I'll mention one, Heroes of NFT, primarily because it's the first subnet on Avalanche that has partnered up with Axelar, and I think the real value there is that it kind of reduces this kind of fragmentation, which is really, really important, especially like, I think we're all sort of, really active in space, and, when the volumes are low and liquidity is low, you can really feel it, right? And that's why it's critical to have something like Axelar to kind of, allow people to kind of go where they want to be. If there's a great app or game like Heroes of NFT on Avalanche, there's got to be an easy way for them to get there. It can't be so difficult where they have to like, look up kind of what the right path is or what the most efficient way of doing that, right? So I think like, I'm super excited. I think it's going to be really, really beneficial. I think Avalanche has been pretty quiet this fall, and so it's going to be exciting times going forward. As a sidebar, I would be amiss to not mention that there's a project called Platypus that I'm an advisor for as well. And they do stable swaps. They have a real unique primitive that's quite different from the curve model. And there's a lot of projects that are building on top, similar to what you'd see with Curve Wars. But they just announced, a partnership with Axelar. They're helping provide liquidity for AXL USDC on Avalanche. So it's worth mentioning. I don't think I think they're exploring cross chain, but they're not yet sort of taking advantage of all the robust cross-chain value that Axelar will bring. So yeah, listen, exciting times, particularly with the Avalanche network. But a couple other projects I think are really exciting, specific to Axelar. Squid, for example, which is a cross-chain swap. I've been kind of playing around with their beta widget, and it's really smooth. It's really easy to kind of like pick the chains and the experience. And so, protocols like that, I think from a practical perspective, if you're a practical DeFi user like me, who's looking for like the right, if there's like changes in yield or, particular opportunities that you want to get to, I think, solutions like Squid are really, really important. And so, this is really important. I think right now, I think I may have mentioned it on my Twitter thread, but like, right now we're in a bear market and people are not particularly focused. They're kind of bundling everything right now with in crypto, and they're not really necessarily thinking through sort of like the big drivers or the important things that need to happen to really improve the user experience. And I really can't say enough about how I think Axelar is going to be a really important part. Cross-chain is really going to be a really important part of that user experience to kind of gain wider adoption. So.
Definitely. I think, you raise a lot of important points. I mean, like one is, look, I think every sort of ecosystem is at a different stage of a journey toward having this kind of interoperability between dApp chains. I feel like a lot of ecosystems, Avalanche included, have seen the value in having, a chain dedicated to the output of it, to the throughput of a single app, or a single category of apps. A lot of different ways to slice and dice there. But, and so on the Axelar level, we have this ability to provide this kind of secure interchain communication. Just the security of messages, assets, compute logic going cross chain, like, super important. A lot of attention needs to be paid to that. There's a whole other set of things. And, you mentioned Squid, the kind of the liquidity pools that partners like Platypus are putting together. But there's so much additional that needs to be in place for like real interoperability to be achieved. I think it's still fairly early days. I think Cosmos ecosystem is probably a little further along in terms of that vision than many others, just due to length of time. But I think everywhere there's always, opportunities for, ecosystem kind of infrastructure level players to emerge and deliver, better tooling, better building tools for developers that are reaching the end user with exactly that value proposition.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I would guess that I'm not as technical as Cyborg or OX Postman, but I kind of lean on my technical friends to kind of steer me in the right direction. And reading all the research on Axelar, it just feels like they are the most permissionless, they are the most decentralized. It's a real safe cross-chain approach, and there's a lot of other bridge opportunities that are not as robust, let's say. And so, not making comparisons, but that alongside with the fact that your business development team is really, really strong. I think you guys are already kind of across 30 networks, hundreds of projects kind of signing up. I think that's just going to make the overall crypto market or crypto ecosystem stronger. And like you said, it kind of ebbs and flows. Like right now, if I was honest, I'd say Avalanche is a little bit quieter than maybe some other chains. Like, I don't know, but like, these things ebb and flow. And like, I've never believed that there's going to be one layer one that's going to succeed. There's going to be multiple, or you're going to lean on a bunch of them, or there's going to be projects that are cross chain. And so that's why cross chain is super important, because at some stage in the future, this is all going to be kind of behind the scenes, and it's not even going to be necessarily transparent to the user. So listen, it's exciting times.
If that's not what we're building, then I don't know why we're here, right?
Exactly.
Well, OX Postman, let me let you chime in here. We got a few minutes left. I wish we could be here on for a whole hour, but trying to keep it to a half hour here. You've been working with Axelar, I think, out of this group the longest. What's exciting? What's, in terms of at the application layer, at the infrastructure layer, what do you sort of see as being the most exciting thing happening in the Axelar ecosystem right now?
Yeah, I might go from the infrastructure layer actually. So I think in the last month, Axelar's gone live on, it's just throwing the chains on it like a really impressive rate at this point, where the generalizable approach that Axelar's taken to cross-chain is really paying off, I think. So like just in the last month, you see Arbitrum, Celo, and say Carvo going live. And all of these are EVM chains, which you can deploy on just like any other in if you're a traditional Solidity developer. But Arbitrum's a roll-up, Celo is like its own chain, and Carvo is a Cosmos chain. And because of Axelar's generalized infrastructure approach, it's able to cater for everyone and add them really quickly. And I think we're going to start to see that paying off like in the next few months as this sort of we're calling it interchain now. I'm really happy about that term compared to cross chain. I think like this internet of value is what we're trying to build, and we're trying to build something where the infrastructure is invisible. And by creating this interchain, it allows people to build apps on top where the user's never going to have to think about the infrastructure layer. Axelar is thinking about it for them, and it's doing it in the most decentralized way that it can, by having a blockchain which validates the messages that are coming between the different consensus layers, whether it be a rollup or its own chain or side chain, Cosmos chain, whatever it is. And it's using IBC for any Cosmos chain, so it's got that immediate compatibility with every Cosmos chain out there, which is why it can add those. I think we saw Umi as well go live, and then Agoric as well. Then along those lines, I know that Cosmos GMP is in dev right now, so we're going to start to see, we're going to start to see interoperability between EVM and Cosmos, and this is going to be crazy when that happens.
That's huge. What OX Postman was just talking about is general message passing on Cosmos. So currently we have, the ability to pass any kind of information between EVM chains, and from Cosmos to EVM, we have that capability, which is actually fairly extraordinary among bridging and interoperability solutions to go Cosmos EVM as seamlessly as Axelar can do. The limitation there is all we do between Cosmos and EVM is bridge assets. That, as OX Postman just alluded to, is going to change soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah, super excited about that. So you're going to be able to do these sort of one-click flows between any Cosmos chain and EVM, and I think that's going to mean incredible adoption for the Cosmos, as well as all the EVM ecosystems benefiting from this sort of app chain vision, which Cosmos has pioneered, and I think is coming. The Avalanche ecosystem with its subnets is doing the same thing. So all of it's going to come together really nicely. I think it'll probably be a mess, but it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody in the chat here is asking about events in Europe coming up. The one that's on my calendar personally is ECC in July. That's a little ways out, obviously. And of course, we have the Axelar Interop Summit in February. That is going to be in the US. But anybody else looking ahead to the 2023 events calendar? I'm assuming everybody here is done for the year. Good God. But anybody on the call looking ahead to an event that they're particularly excited about in 2023?
I haven't really joined the conference circuit yet. My first conference was Cosmoverse. Crypto conference was Cosmoverse. That was great. That was in September this year. I'm gonna join the Axelar thing in February for sure.
Awesome.
That's these are the two things that I've been focusing on. I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, I'm also going to be in Miami, so super excited about the upcoming conference. So excited to see everyone in person.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, is there going to be another Avalanche Summit this year? The Avalanche Summit in Barcelona in March was really I thought an excellent event this past year.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was a great time. I'm not completely sure, to be honest. I think I kind of look a couple months ahead. That's it. But
exactly. That's how to plan these things for sure. Yeah.
But it's enjoy the rest of the holidays and then back to the grind. So. Yeah,
exactly. Cool. Well, I think that's about all we have time for. I want to thank the advisors for coming on and doing this. This is the first time we've done this sort of advisor format on the call. Certainly interested in hearing feedback down the line. If you're looking to kind of recap on some of the things we talked about and what's happened in the past month, go check out our Twitter handle, twitter.com/AxelarCore. That's where you could find, I think it should be posted momentarily, a thread recapping the past month. And links to this YouTube recording as well. I don't know. I'm a little on the fence about this YouTube first type of approach. It feels very Web 2, and I don't know. I'm kind of frustrated by the inability to just promote speakers who come through, which is one of the few nice things I could say about Twitter Spaces. So maybe we'll try something different next time in terms of format. But looking forward to getting back together with you all in the new year, 2023, in January, and hoping that we have some more exciting and inspiring things to discuss against this, what I will assume will be a continued backdrop of utter meltdown in financial markets and crypto alike.
Thanks so much for having us, Gan. It was fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Gail. I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, great having you all.
See you guys.
Ciao.
See you, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.